unmute and you can talk. What is your expected outcome of augmented and virtual reality in your regular applications? Are you planning to do for setting up a lab, or is it going to be like you want to teach the subject, or you want to go on with research in that area?
Sir, participant, one of the participants, he joined just now, Dr. Ram Pradeep from Kongu Engineering College. He is a civil, he wants to apply the AR, VR in civil designs and everything, sir. He just now he joined. I think he didn't hear you. Just now he joined. He will ask some questions related to the civil applications, sir.
Civil applications. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so,
also, some of the participants are interested in setting up the lab and doing the projects for UG and PG students as well as for research purpose. Just guide us.
Okay, so I would like to directly go to my PPT, and I would start out with this, all covering all these aspects, right? This is how I got into AR VR. Basically, I'm a multimedia graduate, and I did my master's in SRM University, Chennai. And I was mostly into animation and technologies like that. But when we had to take it forward into the virtual reality world or AR world, it was something which was very challenging. The first challenge we faced was lack of equipments, because the equipment setup was very costly, and the conducive infrastructure was not there. That is the first challenge I faced. Second challenge is that the lack of resources, because there were frameworks which we had learned. For example, when we were students, we had something called VRML, Virtual Reality Markup Language. But later on, that had got extinct. The technology has gone so far. So there will be people, this virtual reality or augmented reality is one domain which is least explored in the current industry and which is having a vast momentum in the days to come. So I would like to read up some of the comments. I would like to know how this AI is going to change the way of marketing. Okay. Then I want to develop virtual lab for mechanical engineering practicals. Excellent, sir. Okay, I'll cover up that domain as well. Okay. So let me switch on to my PPT and let me see how I could do some justice to your realm. So, if you talk about, is my PPT visible to all of?
It's not. No, yes, sir. Not at. Did you share the screen, sir? But your video is also not visible clearly, sir.
Okay, ma'am. So I'll just pause it and I'll share my PPT directly.
Okay. It's now okay, sir.
Fine. Yeah, we are in management. Okay. Fine. Ma'am, can I go ahead, ma'am?
Yes, sir. You can. Yes, sir. You can proceed, sir.
Okay. So my topic today is going to be, first topic is going to be on how to create virtual reality assets and what is the pathway for that, and how to take it forward and implement it on real time. That is going to be my next agenda, right? So I'll be in the due course of presentation. I'll be answering to your questions which you have put up there as a part of setting up the lab, or it is part of conveying that as a methodology for marketing, or with anything of the sort. Right. To start off with, I would like to bring again in focus this terminology which is called Industry 4.0. So we have gone through various industrial revolutions over the period of time. And currently we have come to a situation wherein we want everything to be automated. We want everything to be at the convenience of the home. And we wanted everything to be at the ease of our sophistication, right? And this pandemic, maybe it can be called a boon or it can be called a misery, but it has paved the way for a drastic change in this augmented reality and virtual reality industry. If you talk about what is this fourth industrial revolution according to IEEE, it is the revolution in which the current and developing environment in which disruptive technologies and trends such as IoT, robotics, VR, AI are changing the way we live and work. This is according to IEEE. And if you talk about this technology, all of these technologies together are going to be the next phase of action, which is 5.0, which is going to be personalization and automation. So we had a technology wherein we were going to the colleges and we had our students in campus and people were visiting us, and we were having a classroom environment like that. But this pandemic created a diverse change that every one of us had to take up online classes. And being in a medium like this, what are the differences we face is that we don't meet our students. We don't have that eye contact. We don't have that essence of a classroom atmosphere. You know, the students are like, they keep the videos off, and we keep on taking our lectures, and we sometimes even feel, are we really talking to somebody or are we alone? This is the reality of how we are going ahead. Most of the times, what has happened is that this particular problem of we connecting with others have created a necessity for the next upcoming generations, right? Same way, earlier there was a time when we had to visit relatives or even attend weddings. Now we are doing it online and doing it on a virtual medium, right? But where we connect, miss the connect is that going to the person, talking to him, and having an interaction. That is what is our challenge here. So, what is this particular concept of virtualization? What is the objective of this concept is that we want to create an environment wherein we are making the real-time atmosphere on a virtual runway. Imagine a situation if, in case, this is what people are working on, and this is what is even in Teams. If you are able to see that, you can even have a visualization. There's a mode called Together mode. If you are there. So what that mode does is that if 5 of us or 10 of us or even more than that, 50 people, I think now we can team supports. Wherein if you're keeping our cameras on, it virtually composites all of us into individual places, and it look as though we are all sitting on a podium or on a classroom like that. So that kind of environment of togetherness is brought out virtually. Now take this to the next level. Okay, now if you want to have this classroom environment, what is the point of student side? They want each other, they want to talk with each other, they want to discuss concepts. It should be like an activity based. So a technology which could support this environment wherein we are going to be there in the classroom and we are able to see the students and they are able to see us, and we are all going to interact with each other as we are going to do it on a real-time classroom. That is the objective of this augmented reality and virtual reality put together, which is going to be called immersive medium. That is what is going to be the futuristic trend. And we are not going to do anything more on that because it is going to be artificial intelligence, which is going to take up most of the activity, wherein any decisions of how it has to be, lighting conditions, different environments, everything will be taken care of by this AI. And robotics, if you have to do it, there will be mechanical devices which could aid us with doing certain practical experiments. Or even there is going to be a technology wherein we are going to do something and we are going to control it with virtual devices. Robotics could be done. So I'll come to that, how that could be done. And even Internet of Things. It can be a remote-based opportunity. Now, this industry 4.0, now we are working on individual domains. We are working on internet of things, we are working on robotics, we are working on artificial intelligence and its subsets like data science, machine learning, NLPs and other things. And we are also trying to get into the realm in India wherein which is called VR and AR. So this is what is currently what we are doing. So we live in smart buildings now. Everywhere we have this smartphones, smart cameras, smart washing machines. We have now even smart vacuum cleaners and robots which are doing our day-to-day affairs, and smart cars wherein we have Tesla and other people coming out with cars and other things. Same way, we are coming out with smart technologies like renewable technologies. We are getting into more of e-wheelers and other things. And we are also getting into a phase wherein AI is very important. Everything we are not now, we don't want to take decisions. We give it to the computer to give the best decisions possible to us, right? And that is going to be the power of the system we are currently working in. But the next phase of this action is going to be integrating all these domains into a common entity. How are we going to integrate these devices is going to be the concept which we are supposed to focus on. So taking it forward, if you talk about Industry 4.0, people are now talking about simulations. We are talking about AR, VR technology. We are integrating different systems together. We are working on moving to the cloud, wherein even now we are going with parallel system, parallel computing and distributed networks. We are going with big data, IoT based concepts. We are going with 3D printing and cyber security and autonomous robots. But integrating all of this is going to be the futuristic trend. And how is that going to be done? Is going to be done through immersive media. This immersive media represents augmented reality, virtual reality, all of this put together, because if you have to have a mechanical lab, okay, earlier there was a time when people had to do, even for, I was thinking like lathe machines and other things, or even CNC machines, people used to go there, work on it, and have a hands-on experience. But computer science departments and other things, we did not get much affected. But when going to a physical system like this, mechanical department or automotive industry, automobile courses, or even chemistry and other courses, people had that breakage, or people did not have that hands-on experience, and that was affecting the society. But now it has been a phase wherein this automation is going to happen on a virtual world, and it is going to be through IoT. We are going to connect from our home and operate devices in some far off places, and the data is going to be transferred through the cloud, and we are going to visualize that and do the integrations or operations over there using our immersive media. So this is the concept wherein the industry 5.0 is pushing from this state, and everybody will have a customized experience. If I want to have something like this, a personalized experience wherein I want to have my window like this, I want to have my lab like this, I have something in my mind, I'll be able to bring that into light. So this is the ideology and importance of this augmented reality and virtual reality as a course of study. If you talk about 5 years back, we were like, or even now, we are like trying to get into 5G technology, and we have not been on a faster pace, or we have not been so commercialized with 5G technology. But even now, we have IoT devices and other things, even cloud computing and other devices which have come up to a very much faster phase. Now, after the advent of 5G, especially in the European and American continents, there came up the domain called AR or VR or immersive technologies, which have become very popular because they have now the speed to compute. They have the devices, and the devices have now become cheap. It is not as costly as it was earlier. But now, what is happening is that these technologies have been commercialized over the period of time, and people have now come up with the technology to make it more personalized. So if we are able to, because most of us, we are working with either with data science, some people are working with machine learning or artificial intelligence, and some people are working with cloud and other things. But AR and VR is one domain which is least explored, and one which has more potential, because people have more of visually creating something which is not existent, or you can create some experience which could be more close to people and more appealing. Yeah. So if you talk about this particular AR and VR, if you talk about it earlier, people were thinking that VR is going to be something wherein for video games and other things. But now, if you talk about it, this is statistics which has been put forth, wherein we have this particular VR and AR application hitting almost every industry. You talk about healthcare industry, people are coming out with healthcare applications. Recently, we were having a discussion with scientist from Department of Biotechnology, and he was saying that they wanted a healthcare application in virtual reality, wherein the doctors could be trained on different use cases. For example, if they want to do a bypass surgery and they want to explore a patient who is having high BP, blood pressure, or if a what should be done by the doctor if the patient's pulse level is coming down? What if he's having other complications? So different use cases are there. This doctors can practice instead of using a dummy a body and operating it and checking out for a bypass surgery. Now they'll be able to operate it virtually on with different use cases. So the number of deaths or the number of getting skilled doctors is more, and the number of cases of patients getting lost during an operation is less. The casualty is less. Same way, engineering application, you can take it with any domain. If you talk about civil engineering as a matter of study, right, there was this time when we had to go to different places, to different real estate people, or to different construction site and see what is happening there. But now, before even a building is constructed, or even if it is structurally designed, we can even create the building. We can imply with whatever is the needed artifacts which are needed, and that could be solved. You go with retail industry. There was a time when people had to go with online shopping, but there is a problem. And what is the problem basically is that people did not have personalization. Like, for example, if you want to have if you go to amazon.com, right, I wanted to buy some dresses, right, I can see the dress on some model who is posing there on an image. But how that image would look on me, how will it suit me, and how would it be looking on different environments, or I should have a walkthrough around. That is not possible. The trial room experience, that is not possible, and that could be bought. That could be possibly brought here. Same way, you go with military applications. Most of the military trainings are now commercialized. People are now starting out with different methodologies. For example, I was recently, maybe after this, I'll be showing you one small video demo of our Rafale aircrafts. This Rafale aircrafts, when they were brought out into from Russia, before it was brought out, our pilots were trained on a virtual simulator to know the basics. There was a time when people had to have training flights and other things, and simulators have been for long. But now, because of this virtual reality applications, anybody can fly any aircraft. And Microsoft has come up with an application wherein if you want to have that application, you can have it's for free. It is open for anybody to purchase it, and it is a simulator wherein it is going to give you a real-time scenario of how you could fly a flight. So you can choose your flight. You can choose either it's a Boeing, or you can use a helicopter, or you can take a jet, whatever it may be. You can choose your flight, You can choose your starting point. For example, I want to start out at Chennai at around 10 a.m. I can take the flight and it takes 1 hour to reach Delhi. You will be literally flying that flight for around 1 hour. That is possible. You go with education everywhere. If you see this, there will be a situation wherein we have to start doing our lab experiments and other things on this virtual domain using this technology. Because when there was a time when every course was commercialized, every course was generic. We had a computer science engineering, we had a civil engineering, we had mechanical and other departments. But now we are coming into courses wherein we are now specializing on specific domains, and the focus on that is very unique. For example, we have I'm heading now currently. We have started off with courses on BSc in data science from this year onwards, exclusively on that. Or currently again, my early departments are BCA in augmented and virtual reality. There is like a course which is going to be focused only on that. So people are now going to be specific on domains, and it has now been a phase wherein mechanical civil have crossed their boundaries, because now everything is getting integrated. There was a time when machines were making the production and people were operating it. Now we have come to a situation wherein all these machines have been automated. Now we have come to another phase wherein this entire pipeline is going to be virtually operated. So this is where this scenario of Industry 4.0 is going to hit all these domains. And if you talk about all these domains, it is going to be the prima factor is going to be artificial intelligence, under which all of this is going to be fitting into. And conventionally, we have video games, live events, and video entertainment industries, which are also other part of it. But this particular market is going to be in the entertainment industry is going to be always uh, no, a prime factor, because if you talk about it, what was more evident in this pandemic is that people started playing more video games. People started creating more live events, and people started going to entertainment industry. If you talk about ticket booking sites, we had ticket booking sites like Make My Trip or Book My Show. All these people, now if you go and see their sites, they are not selling tickets for real-time stage shows or movie tickets. They are now selling tickets for workshops. They are selling tickets for online events, online workshops, and people have started now making it more comfortable being at home and enjoying their course from being at the comfort of the home. So there will be a time when we are supposed to go physically for any activity, and because most of us have become sober, instead of visiting places, we now have an option called video calling. So we do it, but that personalization is missing. That will be soon done. And this pandemic on this VR and AR industry has taken out a faster pace of action. So this is going to be the industries which are going to be hit. If you talk about gaming, yes, it is going to be the most highly impacted industry by VR, because now people have stopped doing exercise. People have stopped going to places. People have stopped academics, right? So now this gaming industry is taking up a different phase of action, because people are now bringing out educational content through games. First point. Second thing is that people are bringing out this gaming into physical activity. So with VR, you have virtual training programs wherein you can work with the systems. Healthcare, engineering, live events, videos, real estate, retail, military, and education. So this is the time when people have to come up with this course of action, because anything, if you are able to align it with this paradigm, it is going to be highly useful for us, right? And if you talk about this industries, it is no more something which is called as mechanical or civil or medicine and things, because now everything is going to be interrelated with each other. I cannot say now that it is that I do not know what is civil engineering, because I need a help of a civil engineer in order to bring out my necessity, because I have to create applications for civil engineering. I need to create applications for mechanical and education industry. So this is how it is going to be, and so this is going to be the prior the core structure of how this education is going to be, and most affected out of this realm is going to be the education industry, because school education is the most affected education sector in the market. Because even if you talk about kindergarten school children or even primary school children, even after this pandemic, right from the start of it in the end of around March of 2020, they have not been to school for around 1.5 years, and this may go ahead till they get vaccinated. So we do not know, but how to go on. People have started out with online classes for certain privileged children, but still there are rural children and other people who are least exposed to these areas. So creating self-learning materials and other things again is a bigger sector in this education industry. So, as I would have told in talk during my initial slides, people call this, like, if you call about this, people sometimes say it as augmented reality, some people call it as virtual reality, and together we call it mixed reality. Some people even call it extended or immersive reality. So all these terminologies are going to be now a interlinked technology, which is called as immersive technology, and that is going to be the crux of the basic idea of what we are supposed to head to in terms of research, in terms of working on projects, or starting out with where is the end objective. The concept of how we are going to go ahead with this process is going to be the same. The application industry is going to be different. For example, I'll say you, uh, taking a case of a civil engineering or an architect, he's going to create a virtual walkthrough for a building which he's going to construct. A person can watch it, have a preview of it from anywhere at any place. So the steps involved in creating this, it's going to be the same, except for the phase that he's going to apply that to different industry. For that, we need to have the domain knowledge of that particular industry. That is the only difference which we'll be having. Other than that, the technology in terms of what is AR, VR, or mixing it up with haptics and other things, the concept is going to be the same. I think somebody has raised up their hands. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, myself, Dr. Ram Pradeep from Civil Engineering Department.
Okay, sir.
Sir, you told me that we can go by the walkway effect using that virtual reality.
Yes, sir.
But today there is a advanced software like ADT, Advanced Desktop, as well as 3D Max. So the people nowadays, they are using the same before coming the virtual reality, sir. So what is the main difference between the virtual reality as well as the walkthrough effect, what the people are nowadays using?
Okay, sir. This is going to be there in my slides. I'll have you different phases. I have different images for that also. So in the upcoming slides, you'll have that, sir. Okay, so I think your question will be solved. So most of the slide today is going to be on basically on civil perspective also. I'm going to construct buildings, artifacts for civil, and apply to all the other people also. So it will be a common relation to all of you.
And also, sir, is it possible to tell the problem statement related to civil also, sir, and architecture in your upcoming slides, sir?
Sure, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So we have here three things. One is going to be virtual reality, second is going to be augmented reality, and a third one is mixed reality. I think people have now an idea about VR and AR, but EMA is going to be currently our focus area. That is why I don't use the terminology AR, VR. It's going to be mostly immersive reality, because people were using VR headsets for virtual walkthrough experiences. So in virtual reality, what we do is we have a head mounted device, which is like this. which we wear it, and it is going to have audio part which is conveyed through the earphones, and people will be able to see something which is not existing or which is virtually available or which is impossible. For example, I can say you, if in case I want to take people around the world, it is now not possible, right? But using this VR, and Google has come up with the thing called Google Earth concept, wherein you can visit most of the tourist places around the world. You can have a VR headset. This VR headset not necessary would be very costly. If you want to make up the cheapest VR headset, you can get it for 700 rupees or even for less than that, which is called Google Cardboard. I will not talk much about it because I think you have a session with Dr. Amit Kamra, who is going to talk to you about it. So he is a person who is highly creative and he will be giving you more insights on that. But a virtual reality headset, if you want to buy a thing in Amazon, it will be like around 1,000 rupees. But with that headset, I would not recommend that because you will have this headache and other issues because of the alignment. If you are getting a decent headset, it is well and good. But with that headset, we'll be able to visit places which we have not traveled around the world, and we'll be able to literally see as though we are seeing it with a real on real time. This is called virtual reality. So now, if I have to see this virtual ambience and I put it something which is called AR. ARs are in, I don't need to wear this HMD, which is called head mounted device. I can just use my mobile phone, that is one option, or any display device, tablet. I can have AR glass, or it's like a regular glass with which has a display in it. Okay, and this particular display is going to composite, or it is going to show us what is there on real time. Along with that, it is going to show something which is animated. For example, I would like to give you this application. We are all using our Google Maps application. The potential problem which we face in Google Maps is that we know that we have to go right, left, and other things. But when we reach the place, we do not know either it is the left side building or the right side building. But with this technology, it is going to be like you're going to have your phone on your car dashboard, and it is going to show you the real-time map, and it is going to navigate you right through that. So imagine, so it will be easy for us to really see what is really available there and how it could be more easy for us to access. Same way, if in case I want to teach students of automobile engineering how to maybe repair my car engine, right? There is an AR headset which they can put it onto their eyes, and it will give me step-by-step instructions on how to repair that car. Or example, if I have to remove the engine from the car, how to do it step by step. Now, what is the advantage of this technologies is that I don't need a virtual teacher now. The teacher can guide them, but they can do it step by step based on their own timings and interest. Second thing is that this particular thing can be customized. For example, I can give one experience like this, how to remove the engine from the car. And this can be given to multiple people at multiple locations, so the duplications are limited. Third part, the same experience can be put up with different use cases. For example, if the student has to remove it for a Maruti, how it is going to be. If it is going to be for a BMW, it's going to be for a Benz. Different cars, I can customize it. But this is what we are currently moving on, is mixed reality, wherein we are going to have some HMDs which can see through, or we can have a display in, and we will be able to connect with it on real time. We are able to touch it, we will be able to navigate it, we will be able to work. This is going to be called the mixed reality application. So okay, so virtual reality is where we have a complete environment. So the potential problem of start off with this is, if people want to start off with the lab setup on this, you can either go with a HTC Vive or a Oculus Rift. These are the two common virtual reality headsets which are very popular in the industry, HTC Vive or Oculus Rift. So if you are able to have this particular is going to have sensors, it is going to have a HMD, head-mounted device, and also have speakers, so you'll be able to listen to audio, and also you'll be having a handheld controllers. So what happens in this is that we'll be able to do interactivity. So this is one step for anybody to start it off on a research domain if you want to explore this VR on a real time. And if you are using this normal HMDs, which you are getting on a regular case, it is going to be like just a VR headset. We are not going to have any controllers or anything to control it, but this would solve it. Augmented reality, as of now, if you want to start out with this as a technology of concern, augmented reality is going to be just using your mobile phones or tablets. That is more than now sufficient, because that is easy for us to start out with. But AR devices, if you have to see about the glasses, there is one glass called Epson Maverio, which is a small headset. It is like a regular glass which we wear it, but that glass is going to have a display which is going to be giving us that AR experience. But the cost of that one glass is going to be around 80,000 rupees. And what is the biggest challenge which we face in that particular glass is that it is is very delicate, and even a small disruption in that will again, it will spoil the entire ambience. So that glass is gone. So it is again the biggest challenge. And the last one is going to be mixed reality now. So people with the Epson with the Oculus Rift or HTC Vive, you can start out with mixed reality, but people are now coming out with advanced technologies which are going to be called haptics. It is like you can have gloves, or you can have other external devices which you can customize it so that people can use specific devices for interactivity. For example, if I want to play cricket, I can have a small stick like this wherein I can give that ambience as though I'm playing a cricket. I can have a gloves which I can put it on so that I can lift objects on virtual world. I can do experiments. I can do tasks, and as I want to do it on a real time. All this is possible, and that is what is called merged reality or mixed reality, or we call it as now immersive technologies together. So this is what is the sum up of this particular thing. So anybody has any questions in this particular thing before I go to the next realm? What is this virtual reality, AR and mixed reality? Can I proceed? Can I proceed ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now it is something called reality and virtual. Now we are linking up both, right? And if you talk about this, people may talk about different terminologies. As one of the professors asked, somebody was asking about virtual reality is something people are talking about. Some people are talking about AR. Some people are talking about 3D projections. Some people are talking about holographic images. All this together, there's like all are different ways in which we are conveying the information. If you are conveying through the real world, if you are adding up an external virtual world, it is called augmented reality. We are augmenting. If you are completely forgetting this world and going to a different world like a dreamland, virtual reality. Or if you want to see that world on with real eyes, that is what everybody is trying now. 3D TVs are coming up, and virtual TV projectors are coming up, holographic projectors are coming up, and these technologies are wherein people are trying to create this virtual reality on real world. So this is just a quick sum up of images. These are companies which names I wanted to just put forth, which are really doing thing. It is just a crop. The first thing which I told you is Oculus VR, And Oculus VR is, if you want to start out with it, you can go with Oculus or HTC Vive, which is 1 and 3 here. Because 1 and 3, what is the difference is that HTC was a company which was into mobiles, but now they're a forerunner in this VR industry. And if you talk about it, people either go into Oculus or for HTC, right? And Google, along with it, it is again working on its VR domain. They are coming up with different thing. They are coming up with something called blogs. They are coming up with VR tours and so many applications. But still, if you are going ahead with this, their AR Core Kit, which is a SDK, is very popular. But still, they are coming out with other products, and they are like, the Google developer community on VR is very active nowadays on developing different parallel paths. Okay, and Unity, if you are talking about it, I'll come to it at a later slide. There is one of the game engine developers now. They are also, most of our AR VR applications are developed using this tool. And Microsoft is coming out with this HoloLens, which is again a VR controller. Samsung is coming up with Gear VR, which is again their controllers. And if you see about it, it is not about the technology in which we implement it. The concept is going to be the same. The deliverable outcome is going to be different for different people. Right, so every company has come up with their developed products, and even now, if you see, HP is coming up in India, wherein they are coming up with their own VR headsets. Sony is working on with their PlayStations, which are coming up with VR and other things. So, and other things, if you see this world, which is there, Magic Leap is again a company, Snapping. Okay, wherein Snapchat has come up with AR filters and other things which are very popular. Because of that, they have also been different forerunners. And if you see VVR, first-hand technologies, wherein they are going with haptics. These are different companies, which if you see NVIDIA coming out with real-time rendering of VR devices, AMD, Bricks and Googles. I'll be sharing this thing. But these are companies which are coming up with so many technologies. It is like every company is fighting in this industry to come up, because they want to hit at the right phase into the right market. That is what is the target. So this is what is going to be a process. So what we're going to do is not much of, after this is going to be not much of theoretical concept, but directly into the phase of what is my overview. So here, now what is no more VR according to us is that it is not something wherein we are going to have a HMD and we are going to see something which is going to be there, but it is going to be something wherein we are going to give an experience to the user without the person feeling it. So we are going to use our eyes for watching something which is not existing. Hear a sound which is generated by human or by systems, and we are going to have touch without even interacting with the objects on real time. For example, I want to carry a pot. Without even carrying a pot on a real time, I'll be taking a pot, planting a tree, growing it virtually, right? And we'll be able to track this data and give responses. And also, we have come to a technology wherein we'll be using speech-based recognition systems, and with that, we'll be able to interact with other object or other human beings who are there in that particular realm. And also, people are now even working on with virtual technologies like giving the sense of smell and taste. If you have time, you can also check out this thing. So there's something called Internet of Senses. Okay, Internet of Senses. This Internet of Senses is something which is very new, and people are now very working on it. Okay, now what happens is that we have a technology wherein now people we are able to give people what is the sense of, how does a lollipop look like, for example. Okay, so that we know, right? So if I want to buy my kid, okay, I want to buy them lollipop, I take them to the shop. They have different flavors: apple, strawberry, and watermelon. So I give them one flavor, right? But this Internet of Senses is something wherein you have devices which when you keep it on your mouth, you can decide what flavor you want and you'll feel it. It's not a real lollipop, but it will give you that sense of thing. Same way, you will be able to, when you are having a food, for example, in a virtual world, you have a biryani which is brought out to you. Earlier, we can just see a biryani, but now we'll be able to smell that. That smell sensors can be induced. So that is where people are now affecting the psychological behavior of how humans tend to behave, and they are trying to bring out with this wherein the auditory sensations or a visual or physical or even speech or even sensory sensations are stimulated and they give a complete package. So this is what is the current realm. But in India, we have come to a phase wherein we are just starting out with AR VR. So when this comes to the market or when this is there, it is high time that we are already a forerunner in this. So this is something which I got for this particular thing is a slide which I found something which is very interesting on the internet, but this was giving up the exact crux of what I wanted to give. First, this is the ideal chart of any VR project. So first thing is that we may take up any problem domain. For example, a professor was asking me, like, how can it be applied for a civil engineering project, right? Or how can it be applied to a mechanical engineering? How can it be applied to medicine? How can it be applied to maybe history or other things, right? So now, first thing is that the biggest challenge which we people have as engineers is that we have our domain knowledge. We have our domain knowledge on this VR or AR technologies or on immersive technologies. But the problem is that getting the users domain knowledge on the specific domain, because when I had to start out with my experiences, the first challenge which I had was I wanted to build, create buildings, right? And I wanted to create visual objects, but I forgot my basics of first year BTech, which is called engineering drawing. The last experiment was a civil building construction model. You learn about different projections, orthogonal projections and perspective projection, and we draw that building plan. But understanding a building plan on a real time was a bigger challenge. It took me some time for me to understand how that building drawing would look, because I'm not a civil engineer or an architect. But that particular domain knowledge, research on that is the first thing, and you need to have a persona. What is persona is that a clear profile of what is the necessary traits for doing the project if you are able to have. So for example, I need to know about how to do 3D modeling. I need to know about how to create VR apps. I need to know a bit of sketching, modeling, and other things. That knowledge or the research part is more important. So the user research, having personas is like having the right people for the right profile for doing the project. That is again needed, or you should get used to, or you should be academically strong to start learning out what is needed. And you should have some inspirational design, some reference wherein which you can look upon and see that this is what I want to create, right? So civil people generally, they have a process wherein they want to create something which is literally not in action. Same way, then we go with brainstorming sessions in which we create sketches, right? These sketches can be some virtual drawing. This is the first year paper which we give it. I give it as a free open elective, because for AR VR students or gaming and graphics students, this sketching and modeling is wherein which is something which is a challenge. Engineers, we are more technically strong, but giving that creative realm to people is a bigger challenge for even most of us. So first task in this VR process is that it is not purely technical. It is a perfect blend of creativity and technology, right? We mostly are attracted to games which are more creative, and more looking aesthetically very attractive. Same thing is what with VR technology as well. So what in this technology we are going to do is that we are going to sketch something which is there in the brain. I'm going to create a building, or I'm going to create environment. For example, a heart. I'm going to create a human heart. I have to bring that. How I'm going to bring it into action. So that is what the transfer process is very important with sketching, and that is going to be what we are going to model. Then storyboarding is something wherein we are going to draw important parts of this particular process. Whatever we are going to give it, that we are going to put it in steps. That is what is going to be called storyboarding. Next is called narratives. Narratives is that if I have to have any interaction or dialogues and other things, I can sketch it. And the last one is called UI sketching, which is called the user interface sketching. So I'll have a plan of how this UI is going to be there. So UI or UX, these are two terminologies which are very popular nowadays. What is user interface, which is UI, is that what I would see on screen. User experience is that how the user will be convenient, or how easily will be able to use this product, and how to make him use this product again and again. So for that, we go with designing the documents, requirement, audio, lighting, text, typography, what is the text and everything. These are all UI components. We decide that. Then we go to this main part, which is called as 3D modeling. This 3D modeling is where we are going to create whatever we have drawn on paper into a virtual 3D world, right? And then we go into the process of taking this 3D models and putting into a game engine and add interactions. So first thing is that we are drawing something on 2D, which is on paper. Right? What we made it on paper, we have designed it, that we are going to go ahead with modeling it on 3D, right? And then in that 3D, we are going to add interactions so that we'll be able to go through the house and look at it, or we can go through the game plan, and we can play it. So this is going to be the process. So for this particular thing, 3D modeling, we can use any of the 3D modeling softwares. If you want to use the one which I'm going to show you today is Blender, which is open source. It's free for use. Anybody can download it and you can use it. If in case you want to go with Autodesk, which is again free for academic use, for educators and for students, you have Autodesk 3ds Max, Autodesk Maya, Autodesk Softimage, Autodesk Mudbox. Okay, Softimage is not. Yeah. So all of these are Autodesk products, which are 3D modeling softwares. Or else, if you want to go with other softwares, you have Cinema 4D, you have so many other softwares also. This is for modeling. And then if you talk about painting, texturing, you have Sketch, you have SketchUp, you have Lumion, you have so many other tools as well. I'll come to that. Then we have game engines. What is this game engine is that we have modeled everything, we have painted that building, it's looking more naturalistic. But if you want to create a realistic experience, then we want to give some movements to that and we have to add some controls. This is where we go with some game engines wherein we will be able to do this immersive experiences. So you can go with different game engines for this purpose and you can add coding to this here. With this, we'll be able to deploy it and test it. So this is the VR process. Any clarifications in this or any thing to deal with this? After this, I'll go to the next part of it. You can type it in the chat box or also you can put this. Okay. Okay. So to put it in a nutshell, we are going to have a strategy. We are going to go with analysis and storyboarding. Then we are going to go with 3D asset creation. This is my area now I'm focusing on. Then we go with VR development, testing, then training people and enhancements. Okay, so this is what we are going to do today. First thing is that we are going to have a idea generation, and then we are going to go with, sometimes if we have a story, we'll put it story creation or script, or you can have animatic. So if in case I want to have a thing, for example, I want to, if it's a gated community, I want to show that entrance first, and I want to travel through that particular thing. I have an experience, no? I have a design of that particular thing. I can put it here in this second phase. Then here is what we are going to go with the initial phase of production. What we are going to do is that first we are going to go with 3D layout. Second is 3D modeling. Third is 3D texturing. Then rigging, animation. So what is this layout is that what is there on paper, a layout plan, I'm going to make it into a 3D plan. Next thing is that I'm going to model it using a 3D software. Then I'm going to paint it, that is called texturing. And how do I paint it is that a tree should look like a real tree, right? The same thing, it should look like exactly like a real world. That is what is the beauty of it. Then if in case I have characters, animation characters, I have to add rigging, bones to them, and then animate them. Then I can have visual effects, lighting, rendering, and other things could be done. Then I can have different elements put into it. It's called compositing, VFX, and color correction. This part C is actually an add-on, right? But this part B, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this is the ideal production pipeline. So first we create the layout, then we are going to model that in a 3D software. Then texturing is painting that. If in case we have characters, human characters, we are going to have bones to them and make them into like movements to them. That is called rigging. And with that rigging, I can animate characters, I can add visual effects, I can add lighting to the scene, and then rendering is the process of exporting them as a finished output. So this is the ideal process of 3D modeling, right? So now coming back, I'm going to have three things. One thing is that for any virtual reality production, if you're talking about for medical field, if you're talking about education, if you're talking about anything of the matter of concern, we are going to have three things. The first thing is called terrain. Terrain is the place in which we are going to move around in the place. For example, I can create a city, I can create a mountain region, I can create a virtual lab, it can be a lathe lab. That is itself a terrain, the place where something is going to happen. So that environment is going to be called terrain. Then you sometimes need characters. The character is where the humans, or it can be objects, it can be animals, it can be anything which you want. The characters, living or non-living characters, can be there on scene. It can be physically available or may not be available. It can be imaginary also. Third thing is called props. Props are anything which is going to add up value. For example, I have created a mechanical lab environment with a shed and with the side walls and everything. It looks like a lab, but what is the prop is exactly what we are going to use. That the lathe equipments are going to be the props which are going to be there onto the screen, and you have certain drill bits and other things which are going to be there. They're all going to be called the props. So these three things are going to be there. So my focus today will be like, first is to create a terrain. So that is the first part, and props and other things we can add up. I can show you some demo models which I have been doing so far. So talking about with the civil perspective, this is like this. These buildings are going to be everywhere. If you talk about a game, you'll have building. If you talk about civil industry, you'll have it. If you talk about it, almost everywhere, you have buildings which take a major role. So when we are talking about this building models, right, there was a time, or even before years, even now, people are now coming up with this building models which are physically made through plastics or available materials. Whatever is there, they use glass, they use plastics, they use physically small miniature models are created to create a visual 3D ambience of a building. This is how people were doing it earlier. So almost if you see most of the big buildings and even university campuses, we have this building models created by architects. Later on, people wanted to make it more interesting. So people started creating 3D walkthrough videos. So what they do is that they create, as I told you, the step-by-step production of a 3D model. They create this 3D plan. In this 3D plan, they build out this 3D model, and then they paint this, because each thing is different. Here we have walls, glasses, different materials, everything is painted. And also you have external properties, like see this, these are all virtual humans which are kept there. And also we have plants, greens and other things which are there. This particular ambience is created and exported as a video. So earlier, when people wanted to see this, they will be just looking at how that building would look like. This was an advanced sophistication which people were using earlier. But now people wanted to make it more to the next realm. So what has happened now is that people with VR, with this headset on, they'll be able to see a realistic 3D visual model without even the building is created. So if you see here, the people wearing the VR headset, when they wear it, we can make them as though they are standing in the front of the apartment and how it would look like. That could be possible. Or if they have a map plan like this, that's the floor plan, and we will be working on that floor plan, we can just use our devices like tab or AR devices, and we can create that building in 3D and we can show them, right? So with just the building plan, on keeping our mobile gadgets like this on that, we'll be able to see that in augmented reality. So that is also possible. So this is how the technology is getting transformed. One more thing, take this thing, instead of the civil plan, if I'm going to have my son's LKG textbook, right? So if he's going to have this tab, he's going to have A for an apple is going to come and it's going to see a real-time 3D apple. He's going to learn it more better because he'll be able to see that in detail. Take an example, I have an image of a car. Okay, with this, I'll be able to see, with the AR device, I'll be able to see a 3D car. So the person who's learning that will be able to learn how the car would look like in 3D. He can rotate and see the car in 360 view. He can turn this and he can go around and see it. He can even get into the car and see how the interiors would look like on real time. Next thing, he can even remove the covering virtually and he can see the skeleton of how the engines and other things would look like. Or even we can teach them how the aerodynamics works. And all these things can be done using augmented reality, which is not possible with a real-time exposure. Same way, VR, the same way, taking that fellow into an engine and making him travel through how does the engine system works may be possible on a virtual reality device. So it is more of bringing into a different world what is not existing and making them understand how the system would operate. So now this is what now people are now working on. This is a very important area which everywhere people are focusing on. Recently, I think a month or so, we had DST coming up with a screen called SHRI. Okay, it was called the Science and Heritage Research Initiative, in which what the DST's focal area was to create VR-based applications or transform existing applications of past technologies into real world, or creating historical monuments into virtual reality applications, or bringing out tribal culture into real time. So they were bringing up with so many areas on science and heritage. So this was one area which was focused on, and this particular proposal was mostly on new age transformations and digital technologies. Right? And what everybody is now looking is that bringing back different technologies which are now not possible to explore. For example, there was a time when we used to take people to museums and people used to look at the artifacts there and have an exposure. But now it is not possible. Same way, earlier, real estaters used to take us to different locations, different sites, and show us different buildings. But now that is also not possible. And next important thing is that people are now coming up with situation wherein we are not able to go to the labs and work physically on mechanical devices and equipments. So that is also not possible. So for matching out with all of these, this virtual technology has paved through a major significance. So this is currently the next phase of it in civil engineering industry, which is very popular, and most of the companies are working on this now, wherein people know now everybody they just have a virtual reality headset in their office, and what they do is that they give you a 360-degree view of your house before even it's constructed. And what is the beauty of it is that people will be able to even customize their artifacts. For example, I want the sofa to be like this. I want to have the wall painting like to be like this, and I can customize that, and I would look at my dream house even before it is being constructed, even the foundation of the building is laid. So this would attract more of a personalized feel to people, right? So it is like you standing in your house and looking at how it would be. So that was great. That is again getting very popular. And now it is cost saving because I create one experience and it is going to be at one place and people can go there and experience it. That is possible. Or I can give it as an AR experience. People can, with the sitting at their home, they can customize it. That is also possible. And other thing is that it is very easy and time consuming because they need not focus on traveling to different parts of the places. So this is again what is the thing. So people are coming out with getting out with how they could go ahead, and I think most of the universities are now coming up with this model wherein you have 360 walkthroughs. Right, earlier we had a campus tour kind of a setup which we had used to have, but this time most of the universities have come up with interactive virtual walkthroughs like this, right? And with this, people are able to look around the object, how it would look like, and create virtual experiences. But making these experiences are just new to people, but there are tools which have been very easy. You can make these things, right? It is a kind of a lab activity which people generally do, wherein you can use Vuforia and Unity. You will be able to do this with with just a single camera, which is called 360 camera, which is commonly available. Right, so we are going to start this development process. So first thing is that understanding the requirements and brainstorming, as I told you, wherein you can choose any of the devices. So if you want to start out with this, the best option is this, which is called the Google Cardboard. Dr. Amit Kamra will be talking about it in detail. And here, this HTC Vive or Oculus, if you are able to buy it, we can afford it as a research lab in institutions. It is recommended because it is like this equipment will cost around, HTC Vive is around 50 to 60,000 rupees, and Oculus Rift, if you're going around, it is 80,000 rupees. This particular thing, which is called an AR glass, if you have to buy it, it is around Epson Maverio. This BT200 is around 80,000 rupees. And most of the other brands, we don't get it in India as well. We have to import it up from abroad, right? But to start off with, just a basic headset would do justice. And for AR, a mobile phone would do a lot more. And now, if you are going on an industrial scale on net, people are now coming out with video walls, 3D video walls, which is going to give you that dome experiences. People are coming out with 3D projectors. People are also coming out with something which is called dome-based projectors, wherein if you see this is going to be a dome, and people can see that 3D view projections through different projectors which are kept around. Or if you see this one, which is here to the left, this is called a cave projector, which means that we will have projectors to the side and a person will feel as though he's there in a 3D world. So these are all large scale devices. These are how high, maybe when we talk about center of excellences and other things, people are now bringing out this setup, and even at planetariums and other places, people are now switching out with this particular setup, wherein they are teaching out science and technological concepts through this virtual world or creating this virtual experiences, because this could accommodate a larger number of people. Generally we are only one person at a time can operate on it, and you need a lots of uh, precautions to be taken when you are taking up. For example, the flow should be matted. There should be no disturbances or any hindrances around, because there is chances of people falling down, and there should be no hindrances between the trackers and the person using the HMD and other things. But here you don't have that problem because you have used it, but this setup is going to be quite costly in stature. And even there are going to be one more type which I have not left here, is that which is called holographic projectors. This holographic projectors is like you see a normal 3D projector, you'll be seeing 3D images on real time. So that is going to be again holographic projectors, which are also popular nowadays, right? And if I had, I was showing you some 360 camera experiences, right? So if you have to see this on a commercial production, they use cameras like this, which are called as 360 projection cameras. So this is called Samsung Project Beyond, wherein you have multiple cameras which are put up. So this will record the 360 view of the entire region. Or if you see this is Google Jump, which is again a 360 camera. But this particular cameras are able to take up the entire 360 ambience in one single shot. But for us, if you are not able to go till that level, we can also go with 360 cameras which are come up like this. Samsung Gear 360, which is very popular, or the most preferable, I would say, is Ricoh Theta, because you have a large number of cameras, right from 10,000 rupees to even ₹1,00,000 on this in terms of quality. With this, we can take up this camera, or they are like bidirectional cameras, and you have 360 covered through this. They'll be able to record audio, and you have 360 video recorded using this particular thing. So with this, we'll be able to create lots of this 360 experiences. Same way, Panocam 3D, which is again very popular. This is quite thing, and GoPro is also coming up with this same concept of 360 cameras. Also, we have 3D scanners which have also come up to scan the buildings. So if you want to create a 3D world of a building which is already available, you have 3D scanners which are also coming available already. There's a company called Faro, F-A-R-O, which is producing a large number of 3D scanners in India, and people are using this technology for broadcasting it. And if you talk about controllers, you can choose between either a haptic device like this. Now, this is called Cyber Gloves, wherein you can have interactivity. These are available in market. You have joysticks, you have keypads or game pads, you have body tracking devices. So each, if you see this is going to this, there's a camera which is kept here, which is going to track your facial expressions. There is going to be sensors all around the body, which is going to track your movements. So with this trackers, you will be able to go more of interactive. That is also possible. So this is the first thing. So I need to know what is my requirement, what is going to be my devices. That is my first task. Okay, that is what I have given you here. Understanding the requirements and brainstorming based on that client needs. What is the problem statement? What we are going to achieve? What is the client's needs, and what is going to be the software and hardware which is required, how much is the human resources which are required, and what is the timeline required, and what is the pipeline which is required. These 6 points are very clearly specified here, because when we are going for any proposal, even for funding, or when you are going with uh, approaching any clients, first thing is that what is their requirement. If they are, no, that has to be fulfilled, so that problem statement has to be clearly understood. And now the challenge in most cases is that even when we come to students, think the first when I was talking in the orientation days back, I was asking them, why did you take BCA AR VR? When I ask people, they say, sir, AR VR, everybody is, it's coming up very much well popular and other things. But when I ask them, what is AR VR? They do not have an idea. That is the reality with most of our people around. So making the clients or people who is going to be a target audience understand what is AR and VR and how you could be bringing that out. First, we need to have the clarity, and they should have be made available of that clarity. Next thing is that the costing. That is why I gave you an array of equipments, because every time you can do the same thing. That's what I said. You can just have with 500 rupees, with having a DIY kit of a Google, excuse me, DIY kit of a Google Cardboard, I'll be able to create an experience. Same way, I can take it up based on my client's expectation. I can go with high-end VR devices or AR devices. Based on that, you will need it. And for running this, you need software and hardware. Hardware I have given you, but software I'll come through it at a later phase in the due course. I'll give you some softwares which you could start off with, or a cumulative list will be there in the upcoming slides. Next important problem which people face is that human resources, because this particular domain as called AR or VR, no, we said that it is going to be creative and technical. So what we'll be having is that we need to have people who are creative, modeling, texturing, animating it, those kind of people. And also we need to have programmers who could add interactivity to it. Both of this is very important. Then timeline for this, it depends on the object. How to go ahead with the object dissection, I'll say you now, because it is going to be for each object modeling that how long it will take. You have to be very specific, because this process is quite it looks, when the experience is going to be more realistic, the time is going to be more and the cost is going to be more, and the hardware and software which we are needed for that particular thing is going to be more. And for that, we need to be very clear with the pipeline. That is what is the first, understanding the requirements of this. Second thing is that creating a prototype. So prototype is just nothing but a visual drawing of what we want to create. And third thing is that what is the necessary assets we are going to create it. We are going to create it. So there will be 4 parts of this. I gave it as props in the earlier slide. This I have put up it as more focused: terrain, characters, interactive objects and non-interactive objects. Not every object in the scene we are going to move it, or we are going to interact it with it. For example, a racing game, we will drive the car, but not something which is there in the sides, benches and other things. We don't bother about it. That is going to be called non-interactive objects. So interactive objects are something which we give coding, and non-interactive objects are something which we don't, or just for the namesake it is going to be there. And so for this particular step, we are going to go ahead with the specific phase of actions, and that is what we are going to see in the upcoming slide. Okay, so I'm sorry, this has overtaken this. There has been formatting error. Okay, so if you talk about this particular thing, there are different 3D models which are there. So there are 2 ways if you want some 3D models for your projects, right? So FBX, DAE, OBJ. OBJ is object, DWG, 3ds Max, SKP. There are so many other formats, even Maya binary, MB, and so many formats are there. But these are the most common formats which are going to be there. So based on the software we are going to use, we can either go in 2 ways. Either we can do our models or we can download the models from free libraries which are available. That is the first thing. Second thing is that we can take up blueprints or drawing. You can create your own drawings or you can take up some photo references. I'm going to show practically how we can go ahead with it. So the first step is that creating assets. So I'm going to give you these three websites which I personally would recommend, which is called cgtrader.com, free3d.com, and turbosquid.com. So I'll just go pause on with this. I will share my browser. Okay, I'll share my Chrome in browser. Is my browser visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So first site which I wanted to give you is that which is called CG Trader. Okay. So this is one particular site which you can take it up. Okay. The next site is called TurboSquid. And the other site is called free3d.com. 3d.com. Or if you can just type free 3D models, there will be so many sites which are available, which will give you the same ambience. But what I personally prefer is these three sites because these have a large repository of very good models which are available for free. So initially, people don't prefer buying 3D models, but if you want to start off with, if you have a large scene to go ahead, how to start out with it. So you can just have here, you can search in these three sites which are very good. I'll be sharing this presentation also either through the file section or through MAM. Will be posting in the file section generally in Teams. So you can have this. So here, what is the advantage in this CG Trader is that we can create so many things. If you want to go with different, if you have here, there are a large set of categories which are put forth here. So if you want to go with animals, architecture, I think my sites are, it's taking time to load. So if you see here, there are large categories of thing. Or if I want to just search for something, if you want to go into architecture, I can just directly click here. I can get a large set of architectural models which are available for me for ready use. Right? But if you see that there is a pricing for this, but however, I can just click on this free. The site is still loading up, so once you click on free, if you see this file formats are something which are very crucial. If you are using a particular software, you can use any particular software like 3ds Max, or you can use Maya, you can use Blender, whatever may be the software which we want to use it. It depends on our personal preferences, right? I started out with Maya. I was teaching out with Maya for a long time. But over the years, now I have started using out Blender, and I find that Blender is going to be more easy and more flexible. And especially in this pandemic, it is like very easy for me to take it up when I teach multiple softwares. So if you see this particular house is free, and if you see that this particular house this is how it look like. So I can just click on this object, or I can have previews here. See this? This particular entire house model is free. So if I want to create a scene like this, I need not even spend on modeling this. This is how it would look like. So I can just download it. See that it's free download, and I can use it, right? So this is something which is quite easy if you want to go out with some initial product. If you don't think that I don't know modeling, I am not very good at doing things, you can create app setups like this. So if you see that houses, even apartments, see this, the entire street view is free. So they have a large array of resources like this which could be downloaded, and only thing we have to ensure is that the entire setup is the entire thing is going to be correctly textured and the right format. For example, if you talk about this particular model, right, it looks good, but if you see that the format which it supports is Max. So if I have to import it and open it in Blender or any of my softwares, I'll not be able to. So OBJ is very common, so that will support most of the devices, and FBX. Same way you can type for anything. Okay, so this CG Trader is one site wherein you can go and get very good models. Same way, this is again another site wherein we can TurboSquid. This is by a company called Shutterstock. And if you talk about again architecture, if I want to go ahead, again you will get a large repository of this. Why I prefer these three sites is that you get very good models which are like highly professional, sometimes even for free. So initially, to start off with, not everything I have to model it, but I want to do a quick thing, I'll have. So if you see this, for this architecture, I have free models here as well to start off with. But not necessary for everything, you'll get very good models in one site. That is what, if you see this architecture, everywhere we get very good models. But if you see here, for each of this, we should be very clear with what is the thing. This is for SketchUp plus OBJ. So what is the type of file we are supposed to be very clear with, and this. Okay, now third site, which is free3d.com, though not a very good great site. This is actually, all these models are very free. So again, I go with architecture. If you see this, there are more sites which you can also prefer, or people can suggest. But this is quite something which is quite easy for people to digitally start off with. So if you see this residential buildings or things like that. But where is the challenge in this? Where is the real problem in this particular thing is that when we are going to do with projects related to either domain specific, for example, civil, we have architecture, so much of it is done. But taking a case of a CNC machine, for example, you cannot CNC machine. If I have to put it like this, I should be able to find a model which we exactly need. Finding that model is the real challenge. Okay, sometimes the model may be available, sometimes it may be available for paid thing. Okay, so that is again a challenge which people generally go. So see this. If we talk about CNC, it is getting, this is what is the search clauses which I get. Okay, but I'm not getting anything which is called a CNC machine. Okay, so okay, see this, I get here a model which is there. So if I find that this is the right machine, I can just use it here. So in everywhere you will not be able to get the exact model. It will be like that. So you can check between this. And one more advantage is that if we are very good at creating these models, we can put it into this repository, and there will be people, if they find that, okay, these models are very good and thing, they will also pay and they can get your models. So it is a dual way benefit, wherein you can create your models and you can post it there, or you can create your own models and break it up. This is the first thing which I wanted to put forth it before I disperse into the actual Blender concepts in the next session. Next thing is that for my thing, I'm going to use a software which is called as Blender. The website is called blender.org. So blender.org. So this is one particular site wherein you can just click on this, or you can directly go with the downloads option, which is there at the bottom. And you can click here and download this. It is free for, I think you can download for Linux, you can download it for Windows, or you can download for Mac. So everything, you have the setups here which are available, which you can take it up. Okay, so this is actually the thing which I'm going to show practically on in the next session, wherein how you can use this. Next thing, I'll go back to my PPT. Okay. Yes, sir. So there's a question that, sir, are these models editable? These objects, these models are completely editable, and you can download it. Maybe next session, I will just download a model and I'll show you how they would look like on in Blender also. Okay, I can download a simple model and I will show you practically.
Thank you. Very rough. So just one more thing, as a start, so we starting with Blender or 3ds Max or Maya?
Blender, sir. I'm starting out with Blender for some reasons. First thing is that it is free, open source. Second thing is that 3ds Max, people are using it for architectural visualizations and other things. But why I'm going with Blender is that now, first thing is that Blender is coming out with something which is called as a Blender XR, which is a extended reality extension which is coming out. So slowly, in due course of time, like companies, like people are trying to switch over with 3D to AR, VR, immersive reality concepts. Same way, Blender is now in the forefront of bringing in that concept. First thing. Second thing is that I have people now, generally, people here in this workshop who are there from different domains. People are from civil engineering. People are there from other departments also. So starting them with Maya or 3ds Max will be difficult for everybody. So this is actually, I was a strong person with Maya, working with Maya, but now I have switched over to Blender.
Okay, sir. Thank
So
you so much.
so if you feel that 3ds Max is needed, the same concept is going to be applied there. So I hear you'll have modifiers, the same modifiers will be there in 3ds Max also.
Okay.
So
Thank you so much.
okay, so it is about one thing, sir. Like we we have so many softwares. I'll be going up in the upcoming slides before I finish this session. It is not about which is the software which we are going to take it now. Now we are finding the easiest software for getting the best output. That is what is the concept we are taking up, because we are sometimes modeling with Blender, then texturing we take it to Lumion or we take it to SketchUp. Then sometimes no, it is like not one software people are now using, because each of the softwares have their own unique features. So that is the reality now. So this is the first thing. So people, our first step is that we are going to sketch a character, then we are going to model it, texture it, rig it, animate it, and render it as an output. So this rendered output is going to be taken to the game engine, which is going to be, what is game engines? I'm going to give you a list. There we are going to add interactivity, which is coding to that particular character. So if you want to go with softwares dedicated to architecture, I think civil people have I think better view on this softwares. People have been using ArchiCAD. Revit is very popular by Autodesk. Also they have AutoCAD for they had AutoCAD, they coming up, and then they came up with AutoCAD Civil 3D, AutoCAD architecture. So if people are very good civil engineering professors are good at AutoCAD architecture or Revit, you can still stick on to that. You need not even learn 3ds or Maya or Blender, because that would be also possible for us to create 3D models. Or you can also have chief architect or all plans, vectors, works, microstation, BRIMS, so many other applications are there. I'll be sharing with you this. Or if you come with the media and entertainment industry or with the computer applications, people who are new to it, we start with either 3ds Max. We have other softwares like Rhino, which is sculpting tool, Blender, ZBrush, Maya, Cinema 4D, Dash Studio, Cascadia, and Houdini, and other things, right? Then this is just for modeling, we use this. And for when we go how to paint it, we have even a better option here. Mari is there, ZBrush is there, Mudbox, 3D Coat, so Lumion, 3D Coat, even SketchUp is there. There is a big list again. Then even then, some people who are there, no industry people, sometimes who are mechanical and people who are there, they are also using this Rhino 3D, SketchUp 3D, Coral CAD, SolidWorks, V-Ray, Grasshopper, Fusion 360. There are so many softwares for modeling. It is not about this modeling, because every industry has its own specific tools, and modeling is becoming more easy nowadays, because we have so many ways in which we can use do it. And why Blender is particularly I was preferring for sessions online is that first thing is that the file size is limited, 500 MB. Second thing is that it's open source, so many add-ons can be put up, and even I can make a complex 3D through the 3D character modeling can be done very easily using Blender. Okay, and next thing is that it is more friendly because it has so many options. It has almost, if you want to go with sculpting, you can do there. If you want to go with modeling, lighting, texturing, editing, anything can be done there. And this latest version, Blender from 2019, have made a drastic change, and now they are also integrating using into AR and VR industry. Same way, if you want to go later on, done with the animation part, you've done the models, you've rendered it, then if you want to create a VR or AR experience, you can go with any one of these game engines. The most popular ones are Unreal Engine or Unity, right? And in addition to this, the other ones which are competing is at Autodesk Stingray, which is again by Autodesk. Then Amazon has come up with Lumberyard, and also we have the CryEngine. So if you see most of the current games, they are done using either Unreal or Unity or Cry. But Lumberyard and Autodesk Stingray are also quite popular. There are more in the list. So if you see that there are more, and there are many SDKs or packages which could be added on with this game engines to make it more user friendly. For example, Archie, Smart Reality, Storyboard VR, VC Draft, Vuforia, Autodesk Live, Matterport, Enscape. You have Google SDK. Okay, AR Core SDK and other things are there which could be added up to this. For example, this Vuforia, if you want to make this virtual walkthroughs with Vuforia and Unity, you can do it in the very least time possible. You can create wonderful virtual experiences with that. So you need not have even much of coding knowledge in order to do that, because that has been customized that way. And last, this is how the coding would look like. This is how the game engine would look like. It will have so many settings. What we are supposed to do is just give the necessary parameters. After that, the final step is testing the project. And what we can do with this is that either we can have interactive walkthroughs, you can have fly-throughs, like you can put it in a website and ask people to watch it. You can have renderings and animation. You can have games. You can have photos and videos of existing spaces, and you can create 360 experiences and so many other things in this particular thing. So with this, I'll stop with this session, and next session, I'll just go through the Blender. We'll be hands-on taking up Blender right from the scratch, from level 0. I'm going to create some 3D models which we can create it within the limited time. So I'm going to give you very limited tools. With that itself, with that limited tools itself, we'll be able to do wonderful experiences. So that is the first thing. So what we're going to do is create an architectural model. And so we are going to take a floor plan. And with that floor plan, we are going to build a building with that floor plan in purview, and we are going to create how we are going to plan this building and create artifacts for that. That is going to be the ideology. So this will be possible within the limited time, because it is not that difficult. It is very easy when people can understand certain basic features. And I'll be having in my Blender view, I'll be having my keyboard shortcuts will be displayed on screen, so people can see what I'm using. If I'm using any shortcut, you'll be able to see what I'm typing and what is the mouse click I'm clicking on. So that will also be there visible. So I think people can recollect it. And if you have any doubts, please stop me. So any doubts with regard to the first session? Okay, sir. Any questions?
So as far as the hardware requirements are concerned, I think 8 GB or is minimum. Maya, but on 4 GB, it's kind of giving a very slow rendering thing.
Yes, sir. That is why I'm using Blender, because I am having a laptop which is like I'm running a i5 Core i5 8th generation processor, and I have a 2 GB graphics card. But my biggest challenge is that teaching online either 3ds Max or Maya, what happens, and especially with teams parallel, running, it is a challenge. So for me, Blender works, but as for institution is concerned, we have 4 GB graphics card. Sorry, 4 GB graphics card, 8 GB RAM, and we have i7 10th generation processor for the systems.
Blend can
And
work. So, I mean, I have a 2 GB graphics card, AMD, and the 2 GB RAM. So Blender should work fine with this, with an
yes,
i5.
it will work excellent, sir.
Okay, sir. Because
Because I'm also having the
I
same.
just started with what do you call Maya. It's kind of running so very slow, and this is something which I experienced when it comes to video editing as well. I was into initially I was into After Effects for video editing, and so it was running very very slow. So I shifted to Vegas Pro and what do you call Vegas Pro Studio. So it was running fine. So I think Blender should also work fine with this configuration.
Blender will work fine, sir, but it depends on the parallel softwares which you run. Again, that is again thing. So I use CC Cleaner. That is one tool which I regularly use because there will be so much of uh, what is it, templates which will be created. That is one thing which is a problem. And second thing is that parallel softwares are biggest challenge. For example, for me, the challenges I am having in my system, Photoshop, Blender, and Toon Boom Harmony. So that is a 2D animation tool. And so running these three tools is again the same challenge which I again face.
Right. Thank you so much, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, actually, you have told the 3D modeling software like Revit and all, 3D Max, Revit and all. So we are currently using the Revit architecture for
Yes, sir.
creating building modeling. So the thing is that how it will be connected to the VR, sir, VR or AR.
Okay,
So we
sir.
are also providing 3D modeling. We are also giving the different kinds of painting, and we are also giving the different types of animations in Revit architecture.
Yes,
But
sir.
the thing is that ultimately, when we are submitting to the client, how it will be related to the VR or AR.
Okay. Sir, when you talk about Revit, it is just Revit is something which is a modeling software dedicatedly used for civil professionals. Because if you talk about your windows, you have French windows, you have different types of windows which you have put up in a layered plan, right? That will be directly possible in a Revit. You can directly import it into your Revit application and you can create the model. But a Revit cannot create an AR/VR experience. So for that, we have to take it from that. You have to export it into a game engine. That is the place where it differs. Revit can be used as a modeling tool, sir. Perfectly, you can use it.
But I am asking, sir, after creating the modeling using Revit or Blender, so when we are finally submitting to the client, the both models will resemble the same, right? When we are looking in the VR, we are wearing the glass HMD, and we are showing to the client. They accept one thing, the haptics is the only one thing, the uniqueness is coming into picture.
Actually, if you see this, it's not going to make any difference, sir, because the Revit is again a modeling software. 3ds Max is again a modeling software. Or if you talk about Blender, it's a modeling software. To the client, it doesn't matter what is the software we are created. So that is what I'm saying. If civil engineers, Revit can be the best option, which I would suggest.
Thank you.
Making the experience maybe. Okay. Questions?
Sir, Isaac sir,
Yes, ma'am.
thanks for your interactive and wonderful session, sir. And shall we break for 15 minutes, sir? And then we'll continue the session, sir.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Participants, dear participants, we will break for 15 minutes. And we will start the next session by saying, Sir Isaac, sir, 11:30. Okay. Participants, kindly unmute your mic. Participants, I just enable it because you have to ask some queries and questions. That's why I just enable your mic. Please, Shubha madam.
Madam, my
Participants, kindly mute your mic. Sir, we will continue the session at 11:30, sir.
ரொம்ப சீரியஸா சொன்னானே நான்